Zellers 2-week denim sale for the family with great savings.
Do not adjust your radio. We're playing that advertisement for a reason. Perhaps you remember it. The discount department store Zellers is closing its doors, and this time it is for good. You may remember that the American giant Target bought most of the Zellers stores across the country in 2011. Only 2 stores were left, including one in Bell's Corners and another outside Toronto. Now those last 2 stores are slated to close later this month, and the CBC's Ash Abraham caught up with Zellers shoppers for their reaction on a snowy afternoon.
Hey Canada, your store's got it all. Take a look, check it out.
Sir, what brought you out here today?
Deals and no crowds. It's amazing. What a strategy. So I feel sorry for those people who are all hunkered down in their homes. Hey, they're Canadians. Get out. This is our weather. This is our time, you know?
I'm asking people about Zellers because they're closing.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's another Canadian store going down. There was another one in Toronto. This is the better one, the one in Toronto. But the deals, you know what? I don't think they advertised it enough. And maybe they're trying to protect the sales at the Bay. I don't know.
There's only 2 left. When this one goes, it's...
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we bought a mattress here, king size. I mean, it was an unbelievable deal. And the guy who helped us, Ryan, he was so knowledgeable and so patient. Like, we were here 3 or 4 times before we actually bought the thing. But every time, yeah, I'm sad.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for chatting on a day like this. The weather's pretty nuts right now. What brought you out?
My wife.
Your wife brought you out?
My wife, yeah.
Yeah?
She was looking to, love shopping.
You love shopping, even on a day like today.
And most, because it's in discount, you know.
Sure.
That's why she came.
Yes.
If it was in discount, she couldn't come. I think. Yeah.
But did you get what you're looking for? I see you have some bags. You found some good sales? When Zellers closes, where will you go next?
Always, sometimes in Winners and Marshalls, you know.
I come here every year, whenever they have big sale, because I live close to, nearby, right, as I said, so whenever they have a sale, I drive by, I can see that, yeah.
Did you shop here for Christmas?
No, after Christmas.
Where will you go now that Zellers is closing? There's only 2 left in Canada, this one and one more in Toronto, and this one's closing in January.
Oh, there's the one in...
I believe so. But it's also closing. You can tell somebody there's another blowout sale like this in Toronto. Where will you go for sales like this? Once this
I have no idea. I wish somebody could tell me.
Happy New Year. Can I ask you what brought you to Zellers today for CBC Radio?
Just the deals. I know they're closing because I work in the area, so I just came to see what was available. So I'm actually, most of what I'm wearing is actually from here.
So where will you go now that Zellers is closing?
That's a good question. The Bay usually, or sometimes the restrooms.
Great. Well, happy shopping. Hope you find what you're looking for in there.
Yeah.
Voices from one of the Last Zellers stores in Canada, located in Bell's Corners. It's going to be closing its doors later this month.
Each week, wow, is for the best. Brand names that you seek. Wow, here's what you ask for. A great low price and so much more. It's Zellers 2-week denim sale for the family with great savings.
Do not adjust your radio. We're playing that advertisement for a reason. Perhaps you remember it. The discount department store Zellers is closing its doors, and this time it is for good. You may remember that the American giant Target bought most of the Zellers stores across the country in 2011. Only 2 stores were left, including one in Bell's Corners and another outside Toronto. Now those last 2 stores are slated to close later this month, and the CBC's Ash Abraham caught up with Zellers shoppers for their reaction on a snowy afternoon.
Hey Canada, your store's got it all. Take a look, check it out.
Sir, what brought you out here today?
Deals and no crowds. It's amazing. What a strategy. So I feel sorry for those people who are all hunkered down in their homes. Hey, they're Canadians. Get out. This is our weather. This is our time, you know.
I'm asking people about Zellers because they're closing.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's another Canadian store going down. There was another one in Toronto. This is the better one, the one in Toronto. But the deals, you know what? I don't think they advertised it enough. And maybe they're trying to protect the sales at the Bay? I don't know.
There's only two left. When this one goes, it's
That's it?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we bought our mattress here, king size. I mean, it was an unbelievable deal. And the guy who helped us, Ryan, he was so knowledgeable and so patient. Like, we were here 3 or 4 times before we actually bought the thing. Every time. Yeah, I'm sad.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for chatting on a day like this. The weather's pretty nuts right now. What brought you out? Your wife brought you out. Yeah.
You love shopping.
You love shopping, even on a day like today.
And most because it's in discount, you know.
Sure.
Otherwise you can.
Yes.
If it wasn't discount, you couldn't come. I think. Yeah.
But did you get what you're looking for? I see you have some bags. You found some good sales. When Zellers closes, where will you go next?
Always sometimes in winners and Marshalls.
I come here every year. Whenever they have big sale, because I live close to nearby, right? As I said, so whenever they have a sale, I drive by. I can see that.
Did you shop here for Christmas?
No, after Christmas.
Where will you go now that Zellers is closing? There's only two left in Canada. This one and one more in Toronto, and this one's closing in January. I believe so. But it's also closing. You can tell somebody there's another blowout sale like this in Toronto. Where will you go for sales like this?
I have no idea. I wish somebody could tell me.
Happy New Year.
Is for the best brand names
Ask you what brought you to Zellers today for CBC Radio?
Just the deals. I know they're closing because I work in the area, so I just came to see what's the deal. So I'm actually, most of our is actually from here.
So where will you go now that Zellers is closing?
That's a good question. The Bay usually, or sometimes the restaurants.
Great. Well, happy shopping. Hope you find what you're looking for in there.
Voices from one of the Last Zellers stores in Canada, located in Bell's Corners. It's going to be closing its doors later this month.
There's no denying it. Store owners in Canada are learning some painful lessons these days. Lessons about taking customers for granted, about staying competitive when the economy goes bad. Some are turning to new marketing strategies. That's the subject tonight of our continuing CBC News inquiry, Hard Times, Hard Choices. Business specialist Der Ho Yin now on how and why some companies are rethinking retail.
At 2,500, brand new in the box, gentlemen, 3,000. Penny for the bidding at 25.
This is a bankruptcy auction, and these the remains of yet another retail fatality as the recession takes its toll.
And I think it's going to continue. I think that we are still sitting with an economy with many, many very fragile situations.
So fragile, it's fast becoming a nightmare for all kinds of retailers, like this chain of 32 lingerie stores.
In the last 9 months, I lost about $1.5 million. And I said, that's enough, it's enough. Because at 65, how much can you lose?
Chiarlo had invested his life savings to start this business 17 years ago.
Skippy, like something like that, it's skippier.
Now he's helping liquidate what's been, he says, his life's passion.
It's sexy, it's, you know what I mean?
While Chiarlo admits he might have overexpanded, he also says there have been factors beyond his control.
EST and the Sunday shopping and over-border shopping, it didn't help.
His story is painfully familiar to retailers across the country. In the past 2 years, 191 retail chains have gone bankrupt. Hardest hit, women's clothing. 17,000 jobs have disappeared in that one sector alone. And consumer confidence is shaky.
Nobody knows if they'll be working tomorrow.
Joe Teichman hasn't lost his job, nor has Sharon Thomas, but the fear that they might has changed their spending habits.
I'm holding on to my money tighter than I used to. I don't spend as freely like I used to.
When consumers do spend, most look for bargains, and that's translated into a booming business for discount stores like Zellers.
Price, price, price. Everywhere you look in the store, you will see item, price.
Vice President David Kittredge says in the past 4 months alone, Zellers has opened 10 new stores and hired 1,200 new workers, and profits have soared to their highest level ever.
It doesn't matter if it's light bulbs or pantyhose. Anywhere in the store, any item, we will meet anyone's price.
Well, the selling point is value. And we keep driving home. Value, value, value. Like I said before, that's the only bullet we have in our gun.
It's the bullet that drove Costco's sales up 28% last year. Costco is an American company that's pioneering warehouse shopping in Western Canada, opening 10 locations in the past 6 years, with an 11th under construction.
We're from out of town, so we come in here and there's a heck of a lot of deals here you can't get back home.
Back in Toronto, Tilly Endurables is selling people on the idea of staying home and buying the way they used to, by catalog. The company's mail order sales jumped 51% in 1991.
Canadians are learning that mail order is extremely easy to use and that most mail order firms are very reliable. That all you have to do is pick up your phone and it's delivered to your door. It makes life easy.
That's just one technique among many strategies that retailers are trying. In the 80s, there were too many copycats, too many retailers that looked the same, that sold similar goods at similar prices, while consumers just spent and spent. In the 90s, people in the industry say retailers have to be more distinctive because consumers are fussier. They want more selection, better service, good value, preferably all delivered with a smile. Der Ho Yin, CBC News, Toronto.